Hello and welcome to the Mental Wealth Podcast, where we discuss mental health and all issues related to it and the solutions to get your life on track. With that said, my name is Adil Batik, and today we're going to be talking about the relationship with self. It is a bit odd to talk about the relationship with self because normally we are talking about the relationship with other people. Whether it is two people, it's usually us and then someone else outside of us. But we're gonna get a bit more psychological today. So with that said, the relationship with self is affected by many factors. What we think about ourselves, what others think about us, and things of that nature. But why don't we start from the beginning? So backtrack to when you were young, and basically a lot of young people have a problem finding where they are in the world and what's their place, who they are, what's their identity, what values are important to them and what are not. Because a lot of the values often are passed down from the family or from the friends that just happen to be there. So it's unconscious process in the beginning, and then as we build more clarity and build more consciousness, we can start picking and choosing consciously what really matters to us and what is just something that has been passed down, and maybe we should let go of it. So with that said, not everything that is passed down is bad, but at the same time we want to pick and choose and be more aware of what we adopt and what is important to us. Being young can be very confusing for a lot of people. I know it was a tough period in my life, but with that said, it has benefited me in a lot of ways because the dark times often lead us to question what works and what doesn't and help us be stronger. So like they said, what doesn't kill you make you stronger. It's a cliche, but it's very true. Now, a quick caveat, the dark times are dark, yes, but we need to make sure that we're coping with them in the right way, because there's effective ways and not so effective ways of coping with hardship and triumphing on the other side. I'm going to introduce you to a quick tool that can help you. Obviously, it's not a quick fix, but it doesn't take that much of your time, but it will help you a lot during your journey. Now, before we get into that, we should talk about what is the self and what is not the self. Oftentimes, we attach labels to ourselves like I'm a student, or I'm a hard worker, or I'm disciplined, or I'm this religion, or I'm that religion, or I'm this nationality or that nationality, or I speak this language, or I associate with this type of people, these types of people. But oftentimes that's not the case, because these people happen to be there, or we just were born in that country, or we're born speaking that language. Like oftentimes a lot of the big identities, the huge identities that like really represent who we are, we didn't even pick them. So it's kind of a big deal if you think about it. It's kind of like, oh, so everything was based off luck? Well, in the beginning, maybe, but it's our responsibility to take control over our lives and see what we can do to make it better, and to build a solid relationship with ourselves and build a self, if that even makes sense. Build a self that is sustainable to love, sustainable to have that self-confidence, things of that nature. A lot of these terms are pretty vague, but I'm going to try to clarify it to ourselves and clarify it to the audience, hopefully. Effective tool, or the most effective tool that I've found so far to build a good relationship with self and to start you on the path of a good and solid spiritual journey, if you will, is meditation and mindfulness. And these things go hand in hand, because meditation is a path to mindfulness, and mindfulness can be a meditation in some way. So it's just, I guess, interchangeable in some way. What is meditation? Because it's a buzzword, as we know. You've heard a lot about it probably on social media, things of that nature, but what is meditation? I like to think of meditation as focused attention, because oftentimes we are addicted to distractions, whether it's through our phones, whether it is maybe talking to a bunch of people, or as you're talking to them, you're thinking about something else. So it's like not being present. So this is a negative definition. So the positive definition would be meditation is being present in the moment. It's so much easier said than done, because if any of you have tried meditation before, it's so difficult. It seems so easy in the beginning, but then you realize you're not even doing it right. All you try to do is basically a beginning part of meditation would be just focusing on the breath, just focusing fully and totally on the breath. But the problem is you have like a monkey mind, and it just keeps jumping from branch to branch, from thought to thought. And it's like, oh my God, like I can't, my mind cannot sit still. And this is a problem because it makes us unhappy. And the solution to that is consistent and diligent practice. And there's a caveat here, because it's not about meditating for 10 minutes a day. Yes, this is very helpful, but it's not just about that. It's about a whole lifestyle shift, about doing one thing at a time and being fully present in every moment of waking life. Because it's not just about those 10 minutes, but it's about how you live your life and how you be present in that life, whether it is you're talking to someone, whether it is you're on the phone, or whether it is you're driving. It's all about just giving your full attention to the present moment. And it sounds very cliche, but it's true. It's true, and this has been working for me. And on this podcast, we're going to talk about things that are practical, things that work, and things that make a difference in our lives, hopefully. So with that said, meditation can be a very powerful tool. And a quick walkthrough through meditation, the way I started with it, I think 5 or 6 years ago, was just focusing on the breath, bringing the awareness to the breath. Start with two minutes, something like that, and then gradually, as the weeks progress, maybe the second week start with like 5 minutes, third week maybe like 7 minutes, and so on, until you get to like 10-15 minutes each day. That would be a solid routine to keep into your arsenal. So a quick walkthrough through meditation. I'm going to do other videos about meditation, but let's just start with a quick walkthrough through it, because it's vital to our practice here. So it's just maybe finding a comfortable position in a safe space that is quiet, free of distraction, and sit straight and tall. Try not to lay down, because that never works. You almost end up always falling asleep. So with that said, close your eyes and basically breathe in and breathe out. And you just keep doing that, in and out. And try to have the out breath be longer than the in breath. So the exhale should be a bit longer than that inhale. And this is important because the exhales usually send a signal to our minds to calm down and to relax a little bit. So this is important biologically. Your mind is going to wander inevitably, multiple times, many times that you're going to stop counting. But the trick is to just bring it back, always bring it back to the breath, and then just breathe in and out. And that's basically it. And this is basically a way for you to train your mind to just get back to whatever you're doing. And it trains your mind to just be present and focus on what you're doing right now. And this is a big deal. I know it sounds super simple, but it's a huge deal. Trust me. So now that we discussed meditation, why is meditation important? Because it ties into mindfulness. What in the world does that mean? Mindfulness is just being aware of what is happening in your head. The key point about meditation and thinking unconsciously, that's the key point. Unconsciously, you're thinking unconsciously, so it means that you're thinking and you're not even aware of being thinking, or you're not even aware that you're thinking right now. And basically what happens is that we go through life on autopilot, thinking about the past or the future as our life passes us by. And this is crazy because it's like you'd rather be like somewhere that you're not, and then just live life kind of live life like half awake and go through life until you die without even living it, just dwelling over what happened and worrying about what's going to happen. It's a ridiculous way to live, and it's a disease. And I think a lot of humans, if not all of us, are just suffering from it. And that's why I'm making this type of content, because I feel like it's not given enough attention in this distracted world. No pun intended. With that said, I introduced meditation because in this lesson, or in this video, if you will, because it's important to our self-talk. Self-talk is obviously a part of our thoughts, but it's not the full thing. However, this ties into the idea of the relationship with self, because let's think about it. If someone talks to you in a bad way, you wouldn't feel very good about it, and you wouldn't feel very good about yourself. But what if that person is yourself and you're talking to yourself in a bad way, or you're just not motivating yourself, you're putting yourself down, or you're calling yourself names or labels that are just not helpful? This is toxic. This is called a toxic relationship, and this is why you should, either if that's a person, either let them know that this is not okay. But if it's yourself, you can't just dump yourself and break up with yourself. You just can't. So you would rather just switch the way that you're talking to yourself. Positive self-talk. Things that are so cliche, but it's so important. So talk to yourself like you are talking to a loved one. And this is a simple trick to just basically be kind to yourself, motivate yourself, and have your own back. Because oftentimes that's all that we really need. You can have all the support of the world, but if you don't have your own back, then how does it matter? Or like, how are you going to succeed if you keep doubting yourself? So it's really important to have positive self-talk if you're going to have a positive relationship with yourself. With that said, self-talk and thoughts are not the whole picture, because whether we like it or not, our actions have a consequence on our self-image and on our self-worth to ourselves. So if we keep thinking, let's say hypothetically, we keep thinking positive thoughts, but we keep doing actions and just committing, doing things that are just not good for us, that are screwing us in the long run and in the short run, how do you think our self-worth is going to be? How do you think our self-esteem is going to be? It's obviously going to suffer. So this is important, because thoughts are important, self-talk is important, but actions are also important. So we need to take the right actions that are going to help us love ourselves more. So this ties into the idea of every action either increases our self-esteem or decreases our self-esteem. So I think Will Smith said that quote, and I'm paraphrasing here, but I think he said, self-discipline is self-love. And it's so true. If you're disciplining yourself, it means that you're taking actions that are good for you. And if you take actions that are good for you, this means that you're loving yourself, and vice versa. So the more actions, the more habits that you build into your life that are good for you, eating healthy, exercising, reading, meditating, whatever it is, the more actions and the more habits that you build that way, the better the relationship with yourself is going to be. Because I think, like it or not, I think this is the most important relationship that we're going to have in this world, the relationship with ourselves. Everybody could love us, but if we are not satisfied and we don't love ourselves, then what's the point? You know, it's like being with someone that you don't like for eternity, for your whole life. And this is no way to live, obviously. So it's important to have a solid and good and loving relationship with ourselves. With that said, I know this was a bit of a short episode. This is our first episode of Mental Wealth. And again, I think mental health is not talked about enough, especially for men. And I think that hopefully with this podcast, we can bring awareness to this issue and help a lot of people men that are struggling with mental health to find and seek help and find the tools that are necessary to help them be at peace and be joyous and live a happy life. So, a quick takeaways that we discussed today is that our thoughts are not us. Yes, we have these thoughts, but it's important because this is a good point that I kind of overlooked, but it's really important that I'm gonna just touch on it a little bit. We are not our thoughts, and this is why meditation is really important, because it helps us realize that, okay, we can step back and see that thoughts just keep going. They don't stay, or they're not necessarily us. They don't represent us. They're just thoughts. So it's important to realize that, because just because you have a negative thought or a positive thought, no need to get attached to it or to react to it. And this is why meditation helps us build the space between us and our thoughts, so we can observe them instead of react to them. Again, a lot of this stuff is very, I don't want to say philosophical, but it's very intangible, and it's hard to understand it unless you actually live it. So that's why I'm inviting you to try meditation and see for yourself. And then another takeaway would be that daily meditation practice is invaluable. It's a good start, but obviously it's not just about meditating for 10 minutes a day or 15 minutes a day. It's about living with presence in every waking moment. So that's really important. And then we also discussed that self-talk is a double-edged sword. What that means is that we could uplift ourselves and motivate ourselves and have a good relationship with ourselves with self-talk, or it can be negative and pull us down. So it's important to be conscious of that self-talk and talk to ourselves as if we're someone that we love, because we should. And then actions and habits have an effect on our self-esteem. And we discussed that because it's not just about the thoughts, but it's also about the actions. So as we progress and we build good habits and good actions that we do daily that are good for us and that build our self-esteem, that are healthy for us, that are good for us in the short term and in the long term, then we have a better relationship with ourselves. And then we discussed the iconic quote from Will Smith, which he said, paraphrasing, self-discipline is self-love, which is very true. So the more you discipline yourself, it means that you're taking actions that are good for you, and it means that you love yourself. So this is what we want here, a good relationship with ourselves. Again, this was the episode of The Mental Wealth. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and share it with someone that is struggling or that can benefit from this content. With that said, thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.